Hello everyone. In this video, we'll be going over using variables in WDL. As a prerequisite, you will probably find it helpful to go over a video I made previously on running a Hello World in WDL. I'll link that in the description. For requirements, you'll probably just need to make sure you have Java 8 installed and Cromwell downloaded. As far as the directory structure, you'll need two directories. You'll need a tools directory that will hold your Cromwell jar file and a workflows directory where we will add in or create our Hello World WDL and Hello World.json. Let's discuss variables in WDL. We'll cover the basic types first. Here is a table listing all the variables. On the far left, we have the variable types: strings, integers, floats, Boolean, and file. In the middle, we have the ways to declare these variables. On the far right, we have examples of creating these variables. We'll run through one of the variables. Let's say you wanted to create a string. You first do this by typing in string to declare the variable, followed by the name of that variable. In this case, it is s, an equal sign, and the content of that variable in quotations. Say if you want to create an integer. You first declare it by typing in int, followed by the name of that variable, and in this case it is I, an equal sign, and then the contents of that variable, 1, 2, 3. The same pattern of creating these variables can be followed by the rest of the variable types. The one thing to note though is that if you are creating a string or a file, you want to put the contents of that variable in quotations. So here we have hello world in quotations, and then on the bottom for file we have the path to the file in quotations. Alright, let's move on to more advanced variables. Here we have a table similar to the one above. I'm more familiar with arrays than any of the other variables listed here. If you want more details about the other variables, visit the WDL specification, which I'll link in the description. Alright, let's say you wanted to create an array. You first declare it. Do this by typing in array, and then in brackets, the variable declaration. So if you wanted to create an array of strings, you replace that x with string, or if you wanted to create an array of integers, you replace x with int, followed by the name of that array, and in this case, a, an equal sign, and in brackets, each element of that array separated by a comma. If you're creating an array of strings, you would replace x1 with the first string encapsulated by quotations, a comma, x2 replaced by the second string with quotations, comma, and x3 replaced with the third string with quotations. Now let's discuss the JSON file. The JSON file contains a list of input variables needed by your WDL script. It's written in a key and value format such that the key is our variable names and their value are what we're setting the variables to. So if you were to take a peek inside a JSON file, you'll see the variable names on the left and their value on the right. This JSON file is used at runtime. So when you're executing your WDL script with Cromwell, you'll give Cromwell an option, which is --input, and then provide the location or the path to your input JSON. Next, we'll start creating our WDL script in our JSON. As a reminder, for my directory structure, I have two folders: tools, which contains my Cromwell jar file, and workflows, which I don't have anything in yet. I'll change directories to workflows and start creating my WDL script. I'll name it helloworld.wdl. This is actually a workflow that I'm recycling from a previous video. All right, I'm going to copy and paste my workflow. This is a recycled workflow from a previous video, but I'll go over what it's doing really quickly. First, I have my workflow block where it is calling this task called say hello, and that task is described below. For its command, it's echoing hello world, and for the output of this task, it's capturing the std out from the command above and putting it in this output string. So what we'll be doing here is replacing this hard set hello world with a few variables. One variable would be our greeting, which will be a string. And to go back to what I said earlier, when we're creating a string or when we're creating a variable, we first declare it, name it, and then set it. So we first start off with our declaration, then our name, and we set it. To reference this variable in the command, we'll add in a $, brackets, and our variable name. Now we're going to do an additional variable right after I explain what this is going to do. So again, this variable is hard set within our workflow. When this command echoes this variable, it will echo hello world. What if we want to set our variable from our JSON file? To do that, we simply don't set our variable in our little script. So let's first create our variable. Variable will be an integer. We declare integers by int, then we name it, and we don't set it this time. We'll set our variable in our JSON file. We'll reference our variable. And that should be it for our variable. Again, we have two variables in our command. One is greeting, which is hard set in our task here. And then time, which is declared but not set. So we'll need to set this variable in a JSON file. All right, I wanted to make some corrections really quickly. So I changed the quotations to put the quotes at the end. And now we save. Now let's create the JSON file. When creating the JSON file, we first start off with these brackets. And like I said before, the JSON file is formatted in a key and value format, where the key is the name of our variable and the value is what we set our variable to. Let's quickly run through the format of our key. It's separated in 3 sections. The first part being the workflow name, next the task where our variable is located, and then the variable name itself. There might be a situation where our variable isn't located in our task, but is actually in our workflow block, at which point we wouldn't need the task name. And the value is the value. Now for our variable, our key would be our workflow name, which was hello world. The name of our workflow written here. And then the name of our task, where our variable is located, which would be say hello. Next, our variable name, which is time. Separated by a colon, and then we'll set our variable. Now these lines were just here to describe things, so I'll remove them. And that should be it. We're ready to run our workflow. So I'll save and exit. Now we'll run the workflow. And there goes our output. So let's look at the contents of our std out. There it is. Hello world, it's 5 o'clock. Great. All right, to close everything out, we talked about variables in this video. We talked about the basic types, the advanced types, how to declare them, how to use them, or how to create these variables. We also discussed the input JSON used when you're running a workflow. We also created a Hello World WDL that uses variables, both hard set within the workflow and something that can be changed in a JSON file. And we ran this workflow. Oh, this should be down here. Anyway, we ran this workflow and looked at the results. That wraps things up here. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments and I'll get back to you.